You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Welcome along. You're tuned into what I guess we could call our Tech Tuesdays exploration, maybe here on The Vocal Technologist. Today, we're jumping into DevOps. Things move so fast, right?
They really do. Constant change.
Exactly. So our plan today is to unpack some of the really interesting updates, making our digital systems, stronger, faster, and definitely more secure.
That's good. Lots happening there.
Totally. So get ready. We've got some cool stuff to get into. Okay, first up. Keeping things online when, stuff goes wrong. Cloud services, right? There are some pretty smart new ways folks are tackling this.
Yeah, resilience is always top of mind.
For sure. So AWS is giving us more control over failing over between regions. They call it the AWS Application Recovery Controller Region Switch. Bit of a mouthful.
ARC region switch, yeah, I've seen that. It's basically trying to automate what used to be a very manual and stressful process during an outage.
Right. Before this, you were often scrambling, trying to coordinate everything under pressure. Easy to make mistakes, leads to longer downtime. This service automates it, validates things proactively.
And it gives you customizable plans, right? Plus that global dashboard you mentioned.
Exactly. Imagine a big region goes down. This tool is designed to make that recovery much smoother, much more predictable. That's the real win, minimizing that business impact.
And what's interesting is seeing similar ideas pop up elsewhere. It's not just AWS pushing on resilience and scale.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, think about Google Kubernetes Engine, GKE. They now support multi-subnet clusters. This gets rid of an old limitation where you were stuck in a single subnet.
I remember that causing headaches, running out of IPs as you scale.
Exactly. Especially with, microservices or things that scale up and down fast.
Yeah.
You hit IP exhaustion, and then you're looking at complex network changes, maybe even rebuilding clusters.
Nightmare fuel.
Pretty much. So now, if you're on GKE version 1.3.3-GKE.1211, whatever, so interval 0, 1 higher, you can just add new subnets when you need them. New node pools get IP space, no problem. Much more flexible.
That adaptability feels like the key theme here, which leads nicely into managing infrastructure as code, right? Optimizing those pipelines. This is where things get really interesting, especially around OpenTofu.
Ah, yeah, the open source Terraform fork.
Yeah.
What about scaling it?
Well, people are finding good strategies, things like automating with generic CI/CD pipelines, obviously, but also using GitOps workflows, tools like Atlantis.
Atlantis is popular for that GitOps flow. Pull requests, driving infrastructure changes, reviewed, applied automatically. Makes things auditable, consistent.
Right. And then there are more advanced platforms like Spacelift. They add things like policy enforcement and drift detection right in.
Which is crucial at scale. Making sure what's deployed actually matches what you think is deployed and catching unauthorized changes. It's about scaling safely, not just quickly.
Yeah, scaling with confidence, not chaos. I like that.
But scaling brings complexity, and complexity brings security challenges. How do we secure all this automation from the very beginning?
Good question.
One classic problem is secret zero. How do you give that very first credential to a brand new machine or service securely without hard-coding it or exposing it somewhere?
Yeah, that initial bootstrap is always tricky.
Well, there's a pretty neat solution pairing Red Hat OpenShift Virtualization with HashiCorp Vault. They essentially work together to give machine identities to the virtual infrastructure.
How does that help with secret zero?
It uses Kubernetes identities to establish trust with the Vault agent. So the machine can securely authenticate and get its secrets directly from Vault without needing some initial insecurely delivered secret. It just bypasses that whole secret zero vulnerability.
Clever. Removing that weak link.
Exactly. And speaking of catching things early, another quick win. GitHub Advanced Security for Azure DevOps. It now automates scanning your open source dependencies right in the pipeline.
Oh, that's huge for finding vulnerabilities before they hit production.
Absolutely. Shift left security in action.
So it really feels like we're building smarter, more secure systems. Which brings us to AI. Everyone's talking about AI taking over software development.
The hype is definitely loud.
But there's an interesting perspective I saw recently. The idea is that large language models, LLMs, they're great at generating code snippets, maybe modifying existing code.
Yeah, they can be super helpful for that boilerplate code, refactoring suggestions.
Right. But they seem to struggle to actually build complex software from the ground up. The argument is they lack a consistent mental model to resolve discrepancies between requirements, tests, and the code itself.
That makes sense. They don't have that deep understanding or the context that a human engineer develops over time. They're amazing tools for augmenting engineers, speeding things up.
But not replacing them wholesale, at least not yet. More like powerful assistants.
Precisely. And speaking of clever designs and maybe anticipating problems, there's a new HTTP2 vulnerability discovered recently. MadeYouReset, CVE 2025-8671.
Okay, another vulnerability.
But here's the interesting part. For many systems, the impact was minimal because of mitigations put in place for an earlier vulnerability, a rapid reset. Remember that one? CVE 2023-44487.
Oh, right. The one that caused quite a stir last year.
Exactly. So systems like, say, Cloudflare's Pingora framework, they'd already hardened themselves against attacks like rapid reset. And those same defenses largely protected them from this new MadeYouReset attack.
Huh. So proactive security really does pay off, sometimes in unexpected ways.
It's a perfect example. Investing in robust architectural security can protect you against threats you haven't even seen yet. Foresight matters.
Wow, okay. We've covered a lot of ground there, from making the cloud tougher to streamlining DevOps and even thinking about AI's role and proactive security paying off.
It really ties together how interconnected everything is: resilience, workflow, security, even how we think about new tech like AI.
And it leaves us with something interesting to think about, perhaps. As all this technology keeps accelerating, how do we strike the right balance, between leveraging all this powerful automation and, well, the irreplaceable value of human critical thinking, that creativity, that foresight we just talked about in building what comes next?
That's a great question. How do we balance the machine's power with our own insight? Something for you to definitely chew on. All right, that's all the time we have for this particular exploration. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep digging deeper.
Spoken Tech for your ears.